Hello everybody and welcome along to the streets of Long Beach, California. John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw with you for rounds 3 and 4 of the Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup North America on what has been a very busy day of endurance and GT motor racing. We started on the longest circuit that we cover here on the Radio Show Limited network of channels, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and here is one of the shortest at just under 2 miles, 1.968 miles to be precise. 11 corners, a little bit of everything here, some quicker and some slower corners with action areas down at turn 1. Expect some overtaking manoeuvres at turn 6 and turn 8, and also, of course, at the end of Seaside Way at turn 9. The hairpin, turn 11. Well, it's caused some problems in the past as well, so let's see if it plays its part today. A cracking field of cars with 20 pros at the front of the field, but let's find out where your favourite is. Here's Jeremy Shaw with the grid for race 1.
That's right, John. We should have had 35 cars, but PJ Hyde has withdrawn from the race. So on the 17th row, we're going to be Chris Belomo in car number 68 and James McCann in car number 83. Todd Parriott in car number 89 and Michael Merritt in car number 63 will share row 16. The top 30 rounded out by Christian Cole in car number 27 alongside Scott Noble in car number 10. He had a big crash on yesterday morning in the first session. They had to bring out a backup car for Scott. He missed the second qualifying session, so he's behind the 8 ball there, still learning the track effectively. Row 14, that's John Getz in car number 57 and Jeff Mosing in car number 56. Mark Kawami, fastest of the 5 AM contenders in car number 43 for MDK Motorsports, will start 26th, alongside Moise Uretsky, joint championship leader in Pro Am in car number 44. Row 12, Carl Washington making his seasonal debut in car number 32 for the local team, GMG Racing, alongside Efren Castro in car number 65. Row 11 is a front row in Pro-Am. Marco Cerrone from Canada for ACI Motorsports in car number 82. The pole sitter for the 18th time in Pro-Am is car number 99 for Kelly Moss. That's Alan Metney. Now moving on to the pro field. 2 cars that were put to the back after technical infractions following qualifying. Jason Hart, who had a brilliant run at Sebring to finish on the podium in round 2 of the championship. In car number 20 will start 20th, alongside Varun Choksi for Wright Motorsports in car number 13. Jake Peterson in car number 85 and Stefan Radzinski in car number 93 will share row 9. Ahead of them on the grid, Sabra Cook in car number 37 and car number 4, Elias De La Torre. Row 7, Dan Clark in car number 64 and Thomas Neveu from Canada in car number 24. Row 6, John Varweg in car number 2 and Grant Torquay in car number 81. Travis Wiley, the youngest driver in the field, will start in the 10th position in car number 77 alongside Thomas Merrill in car number 47. Car number 74, Jimmy Libre from Dominican Republic in car number 74 will start 8th alongside Alex Sedgwick from the UK in car number 98. Row 3, Michael McCarthy on the outside of car number 7 and Will Martin, another UK contender, in car number 9 on the inside of the 3rd row. Michael McCann, 4th fastest in qualifying in car number 8, alongside the young Kiwi Ryan Yardley, did a great job for Top Racing in car number 78. He will start 3rd. On the front row though is Tom Sargent from Australia for McElrea Racing in car number 17. And on the pole position, the championship leader, unbeaten in the first 2 races. This is his 4th pole position in the Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup North America over the last 2 or 3 years. For Kelly Moss in car number 53 from Texas, the pole sitter is Riley Dickinson.
Jeremy Shaw with the grid there, and gotta say, Riley Dickinson has started this championship the way he means to go on. 2 40-minute races on the streets of Long Beach. Just under 2 miles around. They have to break ranks going through the final hairpin. Riley Dickinson just checks up a little bit to allow the number 17 of Tom Sargent for McElrea Racing to come alongside. That's a lovely lineup as they come onto Shoreline Drive.
But very slow.
Very slow indeed. I think that was Riley just pulling them all back together again. A little bit of a break in the middle of the field might cause a problem or two as they go down to the first corner. And a great start by the pole sitter, Riley Dickinson. Has got through into the lead. Has he converted that into a first position? One or two drivers going particularly wide there. And now through the fountain section. Oh my goodness, did we have 3 Porsches wide there for a moment? Yes, we did. Going through the bright yellow number 24, Thomas Nevert for McElrea Racing. Trying to make up a position, that bright yellow machine, and he has squeezed a couple of people at the front of the field. Also going nicely for Kelly Moss's Michael McCarthy, but not having the best start.
Oh, no.
The number 57, John Getz for Wright Motorsports. He's in the foliage at the fountain, Jeremy.
Yeah, and it looks like that car was high-sided. As we see battles for position there for 5th position, 5th and 6th. But a mistake there from Tom Sargent. He's going to slide wide. That's going to give the opportunity for for a change of position there. So through into 2nd place as a full course caution comes out. I think it was Michael McCann actually who was up into 2nd position. But poor John Getz, one of the AM contenders, got clearly caught out at the fountain there, and that car is indeed high-sided. So it's going to bring. He's going to need a tow car to come out and pull that car out. He's going to lose a lap. That's really disappointing for John. Mm-hmm. Lovely character, really good guy, and he'll be so disappointed to have that problem very, very early in this race.
That's a very expensive grass cutter that's just gone in there, and he's ruined me Delia's. I'm not sure what to say about that. It's not the first time we've had a Porsche in there. It was the Nola Sport car, I think, if I remember rightly, last year that was facing backwards a little bit further round in the fountain area. But John, one of the leading lights in his particular category. Do you know what? I really love our timing and scoring from Al Kamel. They put the race control messages through, and it doesn't say car 57 off at turn 2. It says car 57 in flowers, turn 2. That's outstanding work after a very long day for everybody here at Long Beach. I like that a lot. Porsche Carrera Cup 2023, the Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup. North America for 2023. That's going to take a bit of moving there, Jeremy. That might need a lift, actually, because, as you rightly said, the bottom of the car is on the substantive part of the flower bed, and I can only assume he was helped into that situation. And poor John can't even get the driver's door open. He's having to come out the passenger side.
Yeah, that's not a lot of fun either, is it?
No.
Scramble across there. So what a shame for John. He's just a great character. He's a global equity investment manager in real life, but he does a lot of work for charities, different charities he supports, and does so with tremendous enthusiasm, as much enthusiasm as he does his racing as well. He's won the AM class on a couple of occasions over the last couple of years. He's had a pole position as well. So he's a good old contender for 65 years of age. He's well into the AM class. The 3 classes of car, everybody running exactly the same 992 style Porsche GT3 Cup car, but the 3 classes decided by age. Pros are the youngsters. The Pro-Ams are between ages 35 and 56. Anything over 56 is eligible for the AM class. And John Getz is the oldest driver in this race at age 65, but he doesn't show it in his driving. As I say, he's a great contender, loves his racing, super enthusiast. Just a shame to see him out so early. But what a good start that was for Michael McCann there, for McCann Racing, car number 8, up into 2nd place with that mistake by Tom Sargent at turn 9. And then right behind them, Ryan Yardley, the young Kiwi, lost the position for Top Racing, but an excellent qualifying performance for him. Incidentally, John, qualifying yesterday was unusual compared to the rest of the season, but unique here at Long Beach, although they might want to use the same procedure for the next rounds of the championships, which is going to be part of the Formula One Grand Prix in Miami. They split the field into all the pro cars, there's 20 of them, went out for one 15-minute session, and the remaining cars, the Pro-Ams and the AMs, had their separate qualifying session. Great idea, I think, that by the officials here. It means that there's a lot less cars on the track at any one time, so it's easy to get a clear lap. I think that worked out really well. Plus, with each session being only 13 minutes, because there was a sort of 5-minute switchover, and they only have a half-hour window, that meant that unlike normally you would see, they have the teams and drivers have 3 sets of tyres from the beginning of qualifying to get through qualifying and the 2 races. Generally, we see drivers running at least 2 sets of tyres in qualifying, because the fastest time overall for each driver sets the grid for this race. The second fastest time for each driver sets the grid for race 2. But with the session being as short as it was, everybody just ran 1 set, so they each now have 1 set of fresh tyres for each of the 2 races. And if anybody manages to go faster now than they did in qualifying yesterday, they have an opportunity to move themselves up the grid for race 2, because it's either the second fastest lap in qualifying or the fastest lap in this race, whichever is the faster for each of the drivers.
So behind the deluxe Porsche, I think that's a turbo actually, that's piercing the field here. Quick look at it as it comes past us on the front straight here. They are still trying to warm up their tyres.
A few movers and shakers in the different classes on that first lap of racing. Marco Sciaroni went from second on the grid in Pro-Am to the lead, running in the 19th position overall, so he's got ahead of Alan Metney, who was the pole sitter. Mark Kawami is right behind Alan Metney, so he made up several positions at the start, went from 26th on the grid to now running in the 22nd position, so really good start for Mark. He was already a couple of positions ahead of John Getz, so I don't think that was a problem for John. But a really good start then particularly for Mark Kawami. He's ahead of Efren Castro, who is perennially one of the fastest contenders in Pro-Am.
So Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh in the Global Broadcast Centre. John Getz's car being dragged carefully backwards. And thank you to our AMR safety crew. They're trying not to do any more damage to that car. Oh, and we've got another car in strife. It is the number 32 Kyle Washington GMG racing car that's gone straight on and behind the wall at turn 1. Now, you can get back to the paddock that way. That's one of the Pro-Am runners. Now, has he just driven that car off because he's had a problem, or did he go straight on at the start? And I actually don't know.
No, I tell you what, John, it wasn't at the start, because he was running in the 3rd position, I think, in Pro-Am at the end of the first lap.
Now, there is an incident being looked at between John Getz and an unknown car at the moment that's under review at race control. They'll tell us the other car as soon as they identify it. And
well, the cars that started either side of John Getz on the grid
still running
were car number 56, which is Jeff Mosing,
yeah,
and the car that was right behind John on the grid was car number 10, which is Scott Noble, who is the guy who won. He won the opening round of the season in the AM class at Sebring, and had that crash yesterday morning in the first practice session. So was probably trying to make up some ground.
That's a bit of a funny one. The colour coordination between the livery and the flowers of John Getz's car is getting quite a bit of consideration from our viewers around the world. Not planned, I'm sure, and whilst it looks fine on the TV, I'm sure John would rather that he was still circulating. And that's going to put a bit of a dent in his championship hopes as well. Now, the number 43's got some damage to the right rear. That's Mark Kwame for MDK Motorsports. He's the leader in the AM class, and the right rear of his car is showing some signs of an impact, to the point where part of the bumper, or at least the part of the bodywork behind the tree, I realise it's not like good old-fashioned chrome bumpers as they used to be, but you know what I mean when I say that. Part of that rear valance behind the right rear wheel is hanging off and flapping even at safety car speeds. And by the way, I was right. It is a turbo that is pacing the field at the moment. Tell that by the air intakes ahead of the rear wheels. The 992 Cup car, relatively new. Carrera Cup North America, one of 5 championships who got it in its first year of competition. So the teams have worked with it for a couple of seasons now. And they share that same bodywork style as the safety car, with those air intakes ahead of the rear wheels. And
yeah, John, because of the time they have with these cars, they're getting faster and faster. That pole time by Riley Dickinson, 1:19.246. That's an average speed around here. Average speed of 89.4 miles an hour. And that was a full 3/4 of a second faster than Kai van Berle's pole position last year. So really good improvements there. Same team, Kelly Moss, that prepared the car last year of Kai van Berle, this year for Riley Dickinson, who qualified, well, 3rd and 2nd for the 2 races last season, but significantly quicker. We saw the same at Sebring for the opening 2 rounds of the championship as well. The other 2 classes are also lap records. It was Justin Oakes that held the record in Pro-Am, the 21.6 last year. The pole time this year for Alan Metney was a 21.2. And for Am, Mark Kwame has beaten his own record. It was 1:23.2, and he's found a goodly chunk of time, 1:21.8 for Mark Kwame in qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did you say? 89 miles an hour average around it.
Yeah.
That includes a first gear hairpin at turn 11.
And the fountain section, which is pretty slow as well.
Yeah, it's pretty nudgy, isn't it, for these cars? Don't have a huge amount of downforce, although the big rear wing certainly helps. There's a diffuser under the back of the car, although being rear engines, it can't have the honking big diffusers that some other GT cars have. This 992 body shape, a new, relatively new body shape, and remember the GT3 version of this car has only just come out this year. This 992 body shape, if you're looking at the straight cars, they are all the wide body cars. There's no narrow body cars anymore. On the street cars, 20 and 21 inch wheels for the first time. Split wheel diameter on the cars. Although the race cars only run an 18 inch rim, interestingly enough, with the Michelin Racing tyres. Other major changes on the race cars to the road cars. Well, twin wishbone front suspension on the race car and on the road car. The gearbox is a racing PDK gearbox rather than a more road orientated one. You can get a 7-speed manual as well in the road cars as well, which is rather lovely. I can say that from experience, 7 and 6 speed actually. Now, what about the engine? Well, the engine is a 4-litre flat 6 Porsche, of course, with just over 500 horsepower, 507 horsepower, and that is identical to the GT3 and the GT3 Touring road cars. It's exactly the same engine with exactly the same output. So if you are fortunate enough to be able to get on the list for a GT3 or a GT3 Touring, then you can honestly say you are driving something akin to a Carrera Cup racing car on the road. Probably a little bit more comfortable inside, and they don't have the radios in these cars. Well, not that you can tune into XM Sirius with, at least. Right, let's try and work out what happened to John Getz then. Did he get a little tap from behind as they went through the fountain the first time? Our replay crew, who have been absolutely outstanding at Long Beach today. He's trying to go up the inside, I think, but I do think he probably got a little bit of a nudge there. That is the Jeff Morsing car, the top racing car that was closest, but impossible to say if he was involved. It just looked like John was on the wrong line. Big shout out to our replay crew today, by the way. If you've been watching the IndyCar in particular, they have been absolutely outstanding. The IMS crew, trackside, and hello also to Keith Alessandro and Roger Barsili, who have been cutting the pictures for us for IMSA and for the IMSA Porsche Carrera Cup, the Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup North America. Hard workers, those on replay, both back at Charlotte and here trackside. Not sure what happened to John Gets there, and I'm not sure we've got evidence to convict anybody either.
No, we really didn't see his car.
He was offline.
Where it did.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't even see that. I don't think. I'm not sure the camera stayed far enough back, to be honest. I think
he was very wide driver's right. You saw that as he was coming in sort of side by side with another car, with the white and purple car, which I think it was. That'd be Mark Kwame, wouldn't it?
Well, yes, he was several positions ahead of him on the grid. That's why I don't think he was quite so far enough back to see John's car. Well, he's only a couple of minutes ahead.
So the safety car lights are out, and Riley Dickinson and Kelly Moss Racing is ready to go. We have burned up about 16 minutes, which means we have 23 minutes still to go. Let's go racing. The green flag is in the air with 23 minutes on the nosy to go, and Riley Dickinson has to do it again from the restart, but this time everyone is behind him. Michael McCann it was that came up in the second as Jeremy correctly spotted, then Tom Sargent, Ryan Yardley, Will Martin, Michael McCarthy in the car in similar colours to the leader down towards turn one, and quite a big gap further back behind Tom Merrill. Sean Varwig was caught rather napping there on the restart in the number 2 Kelly Moss racing car. So the top 18 all in the pro category. As Jeremy said, the cars are identical, the drivers are graded by age. And at the moment, Riley Dickinson has done a cracking job. Hasn't pulled away, but he has at least managed to hold on to his lead. He's pulled out maybe 2 cars lengths on Michael McCann in the red and white car in second place. On to Seaside, and we're up to speed, Jeremy, with 22 minutes to go.
Yeah, 7 laps in the books then, but all of those under yellow flag conditions, except for maybe the majority of the first lap before the caution period came out. But a good start there by Riley Dickinson. He's got 3 or 4 car lengths of a lead as they head into the hairpin for the first time properly at full speed. And then that battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th between Tom Sargent, Ryan Yardley and Will Martin for JDX Racing as well. So a whole bunch of different teams represented at the front here. Kelly Moss, then McCann Racing, then McElroy Racing, then Top Racing, then JDX Racing. So 5 different teams in the top 5 positions. Then another Kelly Moss car, then MDK Motorsports in 7th.
Through the fountain section again, no surprise to see Riley Dickinson at the front of the field with the fastest lap of 1 minute 20.9. He's got clean track and clear track ahead of him out of the windscreen of his 992 Carrera Cup car. As we're under 21 minutes to go, 90 minutes elapsed of the race. So we're coming down very quickly to half distance here. Now, good news, bad news. Good news is that nobody who's chasing Riley Dickinson will really have to worry too much about tyre and fuel here. They'll be flat out. Bad news is they've burned up half the race and he's still pulling away from the field.
Yeah, I mean, he's super talented, is Riley Dickinson. I mean, it's remarkable. He's one of only 2 drivers to compete in all of the races since the inception of the Porsche Motorsports North America, at the beginning of the 21 season. He and Efren Castro are the only guys who've done all of the races. But yeah, he was a youngster when he started driving these cars. He started in the GT3 Cup Series before the 992s came on stream, and he's just, as he gains in experience, because he was very inexperienced when he started, he's just getting better and better and better. Takes it really seriously. Good student of the sport.
Oh, he is.
Great young driver. And of course, he's one of the guys very much that is part of this Porsche Junior category that is also part of this series.
Yeah, all of the drivers under 24, isn't it? It automatically entered into the Porsche North America Junior program, and at the end of the season, one lucky driver will be heading off to Europe to compete in the shootout to become a Porsche supported factory driver. This is a global category, let's not forget, as the 13 running slowly there is Varenchowski, who was in the midfield in 17th position last he went across the line. So a couple of incidents at turn 11 at the hairpin on the restart are under review. We said that would be an action area, but Varun has now lost the lead lap and dropped way back down the field, and that 13 car was pulled out of the way there. Just to finish my thought, this is a global category, so everywhere in the world now on Carrera Cup and Super Cup running Michelin tyres, and that means we can directly compare people across the different series. So let's work out what was going on at the hairpin last time around. Travis Wiley in the Apex multicoloured car got a little tap from the 74 of Jimmy Libre, who was also being pushed by the Nola Sport car of Tom Merrill. Not sure how we work out who was at fault there, if anybody was. I just think that was the concertina effect down at turn 11 under heavy braking for that first gear hairpin, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think I'll go along with that one as well. It was good tight racing. It's always going to be a little bit of a concertina down there at the hairpin. I don't think there was anything too malicious, certainly nothing malicious there. It wasn't as if he just booted him out of the way and pushed him sideways. They both continued, neither of them changed positions. No harm, no foul, I'd say. But this battle for second place really is heating up now. Tom Sargent, who incidentally set the second fastest of the second fastest laps yesterday in qualifying, his was the best. So provisionally, he will start on the pole position tomorrow. That's car number 17, currently running in third place. He wants to get past Michael McCann as soon as he can and try to catch Riley Dickinson.
Michael McCann in the red and white car heading down towards turn number 1 at the moment, and it's the blue and green and white car sitting in third position. Riley Dickinson just edging away gently. 120.344, the best lap of the race, and last time around 120.376. And still that damage on the 43 of Mark Varmy's car, the MDK Motorsports machine. The right rear, not as the car came out of Weissach, Porsche Motorsports division out in Germany, right next to Stuttgart, where these cars are assembled. It's been a busy few months for the ladies and gentlemen there, shelling out these new cars for Carrera Cup, as well as the new GT3 car, and of course being involved in the build of the 963 that we saw racing on the streets of Long Beach early on. Round the outside for the number 17, Tom Sargent, through turn 9 into turn 10. You seldom see that done, and certainly don't see it done so cleanly and decisively as that move to second place, Jeremy Shaw.
Very impressive there by the young Australian Tom Sargent there in car number 17 for McElroy Racing, just 21 years of age, from New South Wales in Australia. He's got plenty of experience in this sort of cars. He's raced in Australia very successfully, as has the team, of course. But that was a great move, but it's also enabled Riley Dickinson to extend his lead faster again last time around for Riley. 1 minute 20.19, best lap of the race. All of a sudden his lead went from less than 2 seconds to more than 3.
It's what happens when there's a battle going on. McElroy Racing, new to American racing here in the USA. They've made themselves a home up in Mooresville, isn't it?
Yeah.
That they have based their race shop for this endeavour, and second place for them at the moment, as well as Thomas de Ver down in 13th at the moment. Just mention the classes: Mark Maccheroni is heading Pro-Am for ACI Motorsports by about a second and a half from Alan Metney. Another one of the Kelly Moss Racing, that's 82 from 99. And Mark Varmy with the flapping right rear leading in Am, and he's got Moise Uretsky between himself and Scott Noble, team car, two MDK Motorsports machines first and second, ahead of Michael Merritt for McCann Racing, third in the number 63 in the Am category. But the battles continue at the sharper end of the field, Jeremy, with a bit of a queue now, a bit of a line forming behind the number 78, Ryan Yardley, in fourth position, who's under pressure from Will Martin from JDX in that typical JDX black and gold car. They're battling for fourth, fifth, and Michael McCarthy's not that far away in the white and green Kelly Moss car with the fuchsia coloured stripes on that car around the wing mirrors and the front and rear valances. So that's fourth, fifth and sixth, just heading on to Seaside Way now.
Indeed it is, and a new fastest lap for Riley Dickinson, just incrementally faster than his previous lap, 1 minute 20.05. The lap record, by the way, set last year by Kai van Berlo in race conditions at 119.66. So Riley's not going to push any harder than he needs to, particularly if he doesn't think anybody is. Well, having said that, of course, he would like to get the pole position for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So these tyres are pretty durable. He needs to do better than 1 minute 19.4, which is the best, sort of the second fastest lap for each driver. That was by Tom Sargent yesterday. So 119.4 is his target. Started on fresh tyres now. Yesterday in qualifying, pretty much all of the top contenders set their best laps. They did 9 laps during the session, most people, and most of them, almost all of them, set their best lap on lap 8 or lap 9. For Riley, it was on lap 8. For Sargent, it was on lap 9. So really rather interesting to see how that develops. So these tyres, it's not just 3 or 4 lap wonders. They're pretty durable, and of course, as the fuel load burns down, the car becomes lighter. So they find a bit more speed that way as well. 19.98 this time for Riley Dickinson. Really impressive.
Interesting warning from race control to the third place driver, Michael McCann, a trackside violation. Now, I suspect that he dropped his right-hand Michelins into the pit lane entrance as he was going up to turn 1. I don't know that for sure. That's the information that I've got is on the screen, which says trackside violation, but there's not many places that you can get track limits violation here without clobbering the wall, to be honest. Fastest lap of Tom Sargent's race, 120.0, but he's dropping away from Riley Dickinson. Then it's Michael McCann. Then this really intriguing battle in the black and yellow car of the number 78 of Ryan Yardley of Top Racing, going through to the fountain right now with Will Yardley of JDX in the black and gold stripe car. Then the white and green of Michael McCarthy. Travis Wiley's right there as well in the Top Racing machine. So 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and might as well actually say 8th, 9th and 10th as well. That's Jimmy Lieber and Thomas Merrill and Alex Sedgwick for JDX Racing. Alex Sedgwick's JDX, and really interesting story for the young man from the Midlands of the UK, been out of full-time motorsport for quite some time, been doing the odd 1 or 2 things. He's touring the water at the Porsche Together Sports Car Festival at Indianapolis last year in the sister series to this, which is the Porsche Sprint Challenge, and decided that he would try and put a full series together, which he's done, and at the same time looking for other people to follow in his footsteps. Really interesting chat with him on Midweek Motorsport on Wednesday, and inside the top 10, I think he'd be very happy with that in a very competitive field for Alex Sedgwick and JDX Racing. 9 seconds away from the lead at the moment. New fastest lap for the Pro-Am leader, Mark Maccheroni.
Yeah, and that is significant, John, because that is quicker than the fastest time, even in the overall fastest time for Pro-Am in qualifying yesterday. Oh, wow. As it stood coming into the race, Mark Maccheroni's best lap would have put him 3rd on the grid, but that was a 21.7. The fastest of the second quickest laps for anybody in Pro-Am was Efren Castro, who won 21.4. So 21.1 there for Marco Cironi. So super effort by the Canadian, veteran Canadian driver.
We're seeing a lot of drivers now on lap 17. And remember, we have 7 laps of yellow flag down the inside. I'll come back to that in a moment, turn 9. And there's the pass being made by the JDX racer. That's Will Martin going up into 4th ahead of Ryan Yardley. Now, can he chase down Michael McCann in 3rd position? Not too far up the road. And that red and white number 8 car is just going back to the timing screen. A lot of green on the timing screen. We had 7 laps behind the safety car while John Gettz's car was removed from the flowers at the fountain. Thank you, Al Kamel. And race control. So there's clearly still performance in those Michelin tyres, and as Jeremy Shaw was saying, burning off the racing fuel in these cars. The cars are getting lighter, and there's been an incident further back down the field for the number 27. That is Christian Cole in the McCann racing car, and I think he's had a little whoopsie at turn 9 and maybe just tried to outbrake himself as he was trying to make a pass on the number 10 of Scott Noble. Bit of a story there, Jeremy, because Scott Noble absolutely had his car destroyed, and he's got a big dent in the right front now, courtesy of that number 27 at turn number 9, Christian Cole. Oh, and a huge incident at turn 8. The exit of turn 8, it's one. Oh, that, I think that's Michael McCarthy involved there with the Kelly Moss car, is it? Let's see for a moment. This is turn yellow. We'll see the 992 turbo back out on the circuit, but that's big. On the exit of turn 8, heading on to Seaside, the number 20 is certainly involved, and that's Jason Hunt. So was it Mike McCarthy that was involved as well in the 7? They were running together. Might have ID'd the wrong car. No, it is. Yeah, it's got the purple on the front. Big dive down the inside. And a tip. Oh, right. That's really unfortunate. Because, oh my goodness, head-on incident for Jason Hart, unsighted coming through turn 8. And Mike McCarthy, I think, was tipped into a spin by Travis Wiley of Top Racing as they were battling. That will be looked at. It is the 20 and the 7 that's in the wall. So Jason Hart and Michael McCarthy, and I'm pretty certain it was the Apex car. It was. Fairness, he tried to back out of it. He was locked up there. There's the barest of touches at the apex of turn 8, Jeremy, but the cars are really heavily loaded there, and it doesn't take much to spin them around. Michael McCarthy actually didn't even touch the wall at that point. Through goes Thomas Murrell and Alex Sedgwick and Sean Varwig and Thomas Navarre, and then bang, big hit.
That's bizarre.
Jason Hart didn't see him.
That was bizarre because, I mean, Jason was behind a whole bunch of cars. They must have all slowed up a little bit going into that corner, but he wasn't. That was weird because, I mean, he's hugely experienced as Jason. He did a great job at Sebring in the opening 2 races of the championship. He finished in the first race. He finished 4th and then 3rd in the second race. So coming here 3rd in points, really good weekend for him. But yeah, that was kind of weird. I mean, he had to start at the back because of that technical infraction. It certainly made up quite a few places in this field to be running in 14th place. I've been started in 20th, but that was a big impact. And yeah, he wasn't even locked up when he got before making that contact. That was kind of weird.
I tell you what, there's a lot of work to be done by Kelly Moss. Both drivers out of the car, being spoken to by the EMR safety crew, best in the biz. And thank you to them and to all of our volunteers on track services and the marshals, the flaggers. and indeed everybody, whether you are parking cars, pointing people in the right direction, making sure everyone has their right grandstand seat. Thank you very much for your time this weekend here at Long Beach. A lot of work for Kelly Moss, and you've got to feel for I'm afraid, for Michael McCarthy. He hadn't even, it wasn't his fault. He stopped the car before it hit the wall, and then he got absolutely nailed by Jason Hart. The impact is so big that it flicks on the four-way flashes, which is a 992 trait. If it's had a problem, it stopped quickly or had a spin. And this is going to take enough of a clear up. I'm not sure we'll get back to green here, Jeremy.
I think you're right. We've only got 4.5 minutes remaining in this race, and I think it's very unlikely that we'll be able to get those 2 cars out of it. If it was 1, maybe we'd have a chance of it, but 2 I think is really unlikely.
I don't think they'll tow. I think that's the problem. I think they both need to be on the back of a flatbed. I was about to ask you to tell me the story of the number 10 team and Scott Noble and MDK Motorsports, because he had a big incident earlier on this week, and we weren't entirely sure we would see him racing this weekend.
That's exactly right. It was the very first practice session, which was cut short a bit because there was some communication problems on the track, which meant the session started late, and then it was shortened. So I think some of the drivers got a bit antsy, and Scott was trying to let a couple of faster cars go through. I think it was at turn 6, the incident, and then he kind of got discombobulated, basically. He made contact with another car, and that put him in the wall. And you see a lot of damage. That car was withdrawn right away. There was no way that car was going to be repairable for the race. So, but the good news is the team had a spare car. The bad news is it wasn't in the paddock. It was in the truck. Furthermore, the truck is not in the paddock.
I was going to say, that wouldn't normally make an issue at a quote-unquote normal racetrack. This is a street circuit where anything but normal. And where are these guys? Where is these guys quote-unquote paddocked?
Well, they're paddocked in the convention centre, but there isn't room for the transporters. So the transporters are down the road a mile or 2 in a parking lot. So they had to decamp everything that they need, or they think they need, into the paddock. You're not allowed to bring spent cars into the paddock, but there wasn't dispensation to allow them to switch cars if that eventuality was possible. But the problem was, it was such a packed schedule yesterday. The difficulty was getting the car into the paddock, across the racetrack and into the paddock. They managed to do that. He missed the second practice session, but did get out for qualifying, so did get some laps in. But it was a difficult weekend already for that team. So, but Scott Noble's got himself up into second position now in the AM class, and that's right behind Mark Kawami. So, very, very good effort by him and that MDK Motorsports team. Teammates, of course, Mark Kawami and Scott Noble. Mark Kawami is the team owner there.
He's
and they came into this weekend.
D and the K of MDK.
Yeah, the D and the K, indeed. So he's got 45 points with a first and a second from Sebring. And Scott Noble, he had a problem in the second race at Sebring, but he's second in points currently on 36 coming into this weekend.
Third position in Michael Merritt for McCann Racing, and they're running line astern 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. In Pro-Am, Marco Cironi for ACI Motorsports ahead of 2 Kelly Moss cars, Alan Metney and Efren Castro, so that's 82, 99 and 65. 82 car is the Mark Motors Racing sponsored machine. And at the top of the shop, of course, it is Riley Dickinson for Kelly Moss ahead of McElrea and McCann Racing, 53, 17 and 8. The incident at turn 8 is under review, and Mark Kvarme. I wonder if Mark Kvarme and John Getz did get together. We'll find out, I'm sure, after the race. With 53 seconds to go, this race is going to end behind the very lovely Guards Red 992 Turbo. We will not get the opportunity to go back to green flag. For us, that's a bit disappointing. For Riley Dickinson, he doesn't care. He gets the same amount of points if he finishes under yellow as if he's driven away from the field. And in fairness, Jeremy, he has done the job again this weekend. Great qualifying. He will not, however, have the opportunity to better that 1:19.988. And in fact, it's Tom Sargent who's got the best time in the race of a 1:19.922. Now, are we just waiting for the checkered flag? Oh no, missed it by about 4 seconds there.
What's the point in that? Might as well slow the checker. See the point in running
Safety
around.
car could have slowed down by 3 seconds, 4 seconds then.
Well, just show the checker flag in any case. We're not going to get another racing lap in. So, but anyhow,
gives us an opportunity to talk about
talk a bit more about some of these guys. You're
yes,
right.
Absolutely right. He's had a cracking couple of seasons, to be honest. And last year, he was right in the mix in a very, very impressive field with, among others, Kai van Berlo, who is a bit of a star, and Parker Thompson as well, challenging for the championship all the way to the end, those two. Well, Riley Dickinson, in any other year, might well have had a tilt at the championship himself, but he finished the championship very, very strongly. He started this year exactly where he left off last year, and this is going to be a three-for 3 races this season, 3 race wins for Riley Dickinson. What a way to kick off the 2023 Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup North America season.
Not too shabby, is it? Really tremendous start. He doesn't get maximum points, so you get 2 points for the pole position, you get 1 for fastest race lap. So for the first time this year, he hasn't got a maximum score, but he will have 83 points going into tomorrow's 4th round of the championship. And with the now trio of second place finishes, plus a fastest race lap today, and the pole position tomorrow. I'm not going to give him that point until tomorrow. 2 points he'll have actually tomorrow. But right now he's got 61. He'll be second, remain second, of course, in points with 3 second place finishes to the 3 wins of Riley Dickinson. And Will Martin had a third place in the opening round and now 2 fourths. So he'll be third in points on 45, ahead of Jason Hart and the rest of the field back from there.
It'll be another win in Pro-Am for Marco Cironi, no stranger to the top step of that podium. And ACI Motorsports with Alan Metney and Efren Castro, the Kelly Moss Racing team mates in 2nd and 3rd, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's right. And because of that win today, Alan Metney will move to the top of the standings in Pro-Am. Moise Uretsky and he shared it after the first round. They both had a first and a third at Sebring. So with Alan Metney's second win, he will have 62 points.
Second place for Alan, behind Marco.
Oh, excuse me, yes.
But you're right, he'll still go to the top.
62 points for him. 59 then for Marco, 54 for Moise Uretsky, who finished today in 5th position in Pro-Am.
Now we lost John Getz early on, who's a perennial challenger in the Am category. It's another win for Mark Kavami, and MDK will take 1st and 2nd with Scott Noble. What a story that is after the trials and tribulations that we documented earlier on. And Michael Merritt for McCann Racing in 3rd. What does that do the championships unofficially, Jeremy?
Well, Mark Kwame's now got 2 wins and a second. So he will have 70 points to the 56 of Scott Noble, who has a win in the opening round, a fastest lap and an 8th place position in round 2 at Sebring, and then the 2nd position today as well in car number 10.
So the checkered flag has been shown to Riley Dickinson, and the top 15 have seen it. They're all the pros. Here comes Marco Cironi in the Pro-Am winner with the bright lime green numbers on that car. And he takes it from Alan Metney. Efren Castro deciding that he wants a photograph on his own as he goes across the line. And then we're waiting for Mark Kavami in the white, bright highlighted yellow and purple machine as Tony waves the checkered flag. So our 3 winners have gone across the line. Some incident at turn 8 there, and that will be reviewed post-race. It's the 7 of Michael McCarthy, and race control identifying the other car involved there. I think it says the number 10 on there, which is a bit of a shocker because I don't think we've got a number 10 in the field. Oh, we have it, Scott Noble.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was Scott Noble. I have to say I thought it was another car, but that was in the heat of the moment. So we will see what happens there. That may throw a little bit of a change and a spanner in the works then for the AM category if that does put incident responsibility onto Scott Noble. So, well, what an incident-packed race. Started with John Getz in the flowers, and we lost Kyle Washington down at turn 1 in the GMG racing car. Jason Hart ran into the very unlucky Michael McCarthy in the number 7, who'd been turned around at turn number 8. But ultimately, wins in AM for Mark Kavami and Pro-Am for Marco Cironi for ACI Motorsports, and Kelly Moss takes the top spot with the still, in terms of race finish, perfect 100% record. 3 wins this season for the 3 rounds of the Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup North America. Can Riley Dickinson and Kelly Moss do it again? We'll find out tomorrow. Race 2 with Jeremy Shaw and me, John Hindhaugh, and we'll have it live for you here on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Congratulations to all of our winners. Not a great day for the technicians who have got to repair some cars overnight tonight. Let's hope they're back to race again on the streets of Long Beach tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
This program is a Radio Show Limited production. For more, check imsaradio.com and subscribe to IMSA Radio wherever you get your podcasts.